Hi, my name is Charlene Harris, and I'm a director with Usborne Books and More. And tonight I'm going to show you a very simple format for doing a live home party. We're all starting to get back into live shows again, and I absolutely love that. They're my favorite things to do. I love connecting with all my guests one-on-one and seeing their faces when they see our wonderful books come alive at all the possibilities that they can get for their own children. So this format is very simple. I actually use the catalog as a cue sheet. And you don't need a lot of titles. So those of you that are new to the company or those that haven't done live parties before, maybe you've only done Facebook parties, you don't have to have a whole collection of books. In fact, I'm going to use about 10 titles today in this party that I'm going to show you. But I have a way that I will also show you that will increase them to about 30 titles. So you'll actually be presenting about 30 titles. Now, I have found in my experience of doing live parties that if you show more than about 30 titles, you're going to start losing your guests. They kind of just glaze over a little bit. They can't take in more than about 30 titles. So that's what I always brought to my show, was about 30 titles. So at a live party, I always get there about a half an hour before it starts, no more. Now, it's important that you keep your parties very simple. Don't bring everything you own to the party. It's just too much. Because what you're saying to your hostesses is, this is a lot of hard work, and if she ever considered becoming a consultant, she might look at you and say, nah, that's too much for me. So I keep everything very, very simple, and I don't bring a lot of things. So I have a few books and some catalogs, some pens, and I show up about a half an hour early so that I'm not in her way, but also that she knows I'm coming. That if I show up any later than that, she might think, oh, she's not actually coming. So it's kind of a comfort to your hostess that I show up just a little bit early, not too much. Okay, so here's our latest catalog. It's a beautiful catalog. I love the catalog. It's so valuable. There's so much information in here. But if you don't help your customers see the information in little chunks at little bits of time, they're gonna not be able to just flip through it by themselves. It's kind of hard. So what I did is I've taken some washi tape and I have just tabbed the pages that I want to talk to. So when I go to a home show, I always set it up like it's a baby shower. I set the room up with chairs in like a horseshoe shape so that I can pass books around, because I think that's really important, that they get to touch the books and see the books. So I pass books around, and it's also a way for me to keep talking while I'm showing books. So it doesn't have to be either or. They're looking at the books or you're talking. It can be both at the same time. Women are very capable of doing that. So, okay, so let me show you. The first page that I've tabbed here is called Host a Party. Now, I'm also going to put pictures of these pages in another format so you can look at it a little more closely, because I know that this is kind of flipped around backwards. But okay, the first tab takes me to Host a Party. So all I do is I hold up this page and I say, let's talk about hosting a party tonight. And it's really important that you talk about hosting and recruiting with your guest at least 3 times through your party. I mean, it doesn't have to be hard-hitting, but it's just thoughts, suggestions. You're kind of throwing out their seeds, planting some seeds, and for those who want to, it'll take, and they will either have a party or they might even join your team to do something like this themselves. So I just usually say host a party. The rewards never end. Here's our chart. If you have an average show of just around $400 or $450, you can get $70 or $80 in free books just for hosting a show. And since I'm a new consultant, I can double that to $140 to $160 in free books. Now that's a lot of free books. You can get just about everything on your wish list tonight. So then I turn to the next tab, and it happens to be just the next page, so it's very simple. And I talk about our 100% guarantee. Let me get this up here. It's a little hard to hold it. Here we go. We have a 100% guarantee on our books that if you're not satisfied or there's something damaged or maybe even the dog ate it, that will replace it by at least 50%. So you can keep your books if they get well loved, keep your receipts, that's important, and you can get these books replaced for you at 50%. Now the next page, I love this page. It talks about 5 ways to save. So everybody wants to save. Sorry, let me get this a little better. Everybody wants to save money. So this talks about 5 different ways through collections, combined volumes, customer specials, hosting a party, and of course, joining the team, and you can make your commission off of all your parties. So make sure that you're familiar with each one of these ways to save. You don't have to go through them. You're just basically pointing this out. The next page I talked about is the internet page, internet linked books. We have these, they're so wonderful that a child can have a book on a subject like the human body or outer space, or any of our science books, our art books, our history books are most likely internet linked, where they can take that subject and expand it, so much more through going to different links through Usborne Books. So you definitely want to look at this page and learn all about that feature in our books, because it's quite wonderful. The next page I'm turning to is our programs. Oh my gosh, we have so many wonderful programs. We have a book fair program, a Reach for the Stars, which is a reading incentive program. We have a Cards for a Cause, which is a fundraiser program as well. And then, of course, Literacy for a Lifetime, where you can help any organization, school, library, expand their monies by 50% with our programs in free books. Okay? The next page I'm going to turn to is our collections. Oh my goodness, I love collections. Do you know how many people out there who they don't really know what to buy? Maybe they want to get a gift. Maybe it's a grandma that just wants to start a library for her grandbaby that's coming next month, you know. So they can pick out one of these collections. They're going to save money on the collection. I believe it's around 10%. And plus they're going to get very popular books in a series or a set. So this is something you definitely want to look at. Also, if you notice on the side of the page right here, our catalog is all identified by this little sidebar here on the page. So it's easy to flip through and find our different categories, our subjects, activity books, all kinds of things by looking at this little sidebar on the page. All right, one more. So next, once I get through those first few pages, I then start talking about the books. So my first book that I have here in my pile is called That's Not My Puppy. And because I've tabbed it in the back, I know that it's on page 23. So I tell my guests, go ahead and turn to page 23. Now, I'm not going to go through all my books here. You'll get the idea after I go through a couple of them. Okay, so on page 23 and 22 and 23, I have circled a couple of books. So I've circled That's Not My Tractor, and then I've circled over here That's Not My Bee. Now I have a grandbaby who's going to turn 2 this week. He's so cute. These That's Not My are his favorite books. So I would then pick up the book and I would talk about it. The touchy-feely aspect of it, they get to hear very descriptive words and then get to feel or see or kind of touch what that word actually means. This says his coat is hairy, so he can feel this. I find people petting this book all the time. It's kind of cute. So this is one of the first That's Not My, and it's still one of the most popular because all children relate to puppies, just about. And there's also That's Not My Kitty. So one of the two kind of touches where they live. So That's Not My Puppy. So I talk about this book, and then I pass it to my person on the left. Remember, I've set the room up like a baby shower. So I pass it along, and they can start looking at the books too. So my talk time without them getting to shop is very short. They're not sitting there thinking, oh, would she just finish? I'll look at your product, you know. So anyway, once I finish talking about that first book, then I go ahead and I talk about That's Not My Bee. And then I go on and talk about That's Not My Tractor. So this is how I expand my small 10 titles of books to around 30 which is my limit that I bring to home shows. And this way, I present the books without actually having them. So I would suggest that you go through your catalog and you pick out titles that you want. Definitely try to pick out from different, across the board through the whole catalog so they see everything. But then you learn about that book. You can get book reviews online. You can ask your team leader to review a book for you. You can talk to other Uzzies in your Facebook page, on the Facebook page, and ask for reviews on this books, or ask the question, how do you sell this book? Because everybody has different ways, and it's wonderful to learn about that. So the next book I have in my pile is The Complete Book of Farmyard Tales, which is one of my absolute favorites. It's on page 30, okay? So then I go to the page 30 very quickly, and I say, okay, let's all turn to page 30. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite titles. It's called The Complete Book of Farmyard Tales. Okay, here we go. So then I put my catalog down and I pick up the book and I talk about how it is a great value book. It has around, I think, 20 titles in it. Yes, I can see 20 titles, and it comes with a CD. Well, my baby has the CD, and all this for the price of $24.99 on page 30. Now, mine is an older copy. This has been, they've taken it out and redone the cover, but it's basically the same book. And it says here it's $24.99, and it comes with a CD. And if you can see, I'll bring that a little closer, it's a different cover, but it's actually the same book. Okay? So I talk about that book, how I love it. It has a dual reading level. In fact, let me show you how great this is. So you, on this book, as you're reading to your child, you can get the whole gist of the story from just the top line right here. Then, as your child grows in their reading skills, you can embellish it with the bottom line or in their wiggle skills, because I know my 2-year-old, he can sit maybe sometimes for it, but sometimes he can't. So depending on his mood and his energy level, I'll read the top line to him, and then if he sits longer, I'll read the bottom line. I love that about this book. It's so great. What a wonderful selling point this is. Also, if you look in the book, there's a little yellow duck hidden on every page. Now, this is a Stephen Cartwright book. There he is, under my finger. And I love Stephen Cartwright. And they've just brought back a lot of his books. He unfortunately passed away many years ago, but they've taken his work and they're bringing it back. And it's wonderful. The little duck is back, all of his beautiful, lovable characters, all on Farmyard Tales, in Farmyard Tales on Apple Tree Farm. So this is one of my favorite. And I always sell these to grandmas because it's such a wonderful reading title to little ones. I love this. Okay, so that shows you how I do that. Then I go to the page, to the catalog, and I talk about Animal Hide and Seek. Oh my gosh, it's another favorite. It's a bestseller too, Animal Hide and Seek. And then over on this side of the page, I talk about Telling Time. This is a magnificent book to introduce to your child the concept of time and telling how it works. Now, I know mainly we have digital, but if you start from this concept and then go to digital, it helps them understand more that concept of how we read time, because you talk about the quarters and half an hours and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so the next book on my list is a new one, Usborne Book of the Moon. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. I love this book. Now, it tells me on the back that it's on page 31. So again, I would tell my customers to go to page 31. I also then, on page 31, talk about other titles on that. So that's how I do all the way through my whole stack of books. Once I've finished the stack of books and they're passed around and all my guests are looking at them, and they're writing wish lists down, the books that they want. It's a beautiful scene to see them enjoying the books, stacks of books, long wish lists. It's really great to do a live party and get to see all that. You truly understand through live parties how people love Usborne books. And I've been doing this, I've been working with Usborne for years, and I've got to see all of it, and live parties are still my favorite. Connecting with people that way is a wonderful thing to do. So now, once I've finished passing all the books around, I tell my guests, I'm like, just let me keep your attention just for a few more minutes. I'm going to show you a few more things in the catalog that I think you might be interested in. Now, I go all the way back to the last page. And then on this last page, it says, 3 things to do today to help your child develop good reading habits. And then I kind of walk them through those 3 things. Because moms today and moms always have felt totally inadequate in how to teach their children and what to do. They love their children so much and they want to give them the best in life. And we know as consultants and as moms too that teaching them to read, helping them to become book lovers and loving books is one of the best gifts you can give them for their own development, their imagination, and then of course their educational careers, is to turn them into book lovers, book readers, and book lovers. Of course, we have so much information coming out now that screen time is detrimental. It's a wonderful avenue, and I don't think you can ever cut it out of their lives totally, but I think you should not abandon reading books for just screen time. I think that would be a mistake. And then, okay, on the back page, it talks about build your own Usborne business. Isn't that wonderful? So you don't have to figure out how to become a consultant to them. You just turn to this page and you talk about the 2 kids' sizes, the book they get, and the opportunity they have to build into their children's libraries by becoming a consultant to earn extra money, and then to reach out into their community, their friends and their family, and tell them about the great opportunity with Usborne. And getting books, building wonderful libraries for their children. That was what I wanted when I started, as a great library. But I quickly loved the money as well. So I think that's an important part as well. Okay, once I finish talking about that, I put the catalog down and I say just a couple more minutes. I'm going to show you how wonderful it is to be a hostess with Usborne Books, all the books that you get. So my 10 titles, they're probably at the end of the last person who's been looking at them. I just go ahead and pick up the titles, put them in a stack, and I say, you know, for an average home party, you can get, and we'll use the $400 mark, you can get $70 in free books, right? Just for having a $400 show, which comes to about $30 a person for about 16 people. That's all you need to have. Now, I need to check those numbers a little bit, but I think I'm pretty close. So then I talk about, so you would get 10 titles just for having a party. So my whole stack here is about $70 worth of free books. But there's more. And then I go on and I talk about the half-price books and the hostess books and all that, and stack up a nice pile of books and tell them if they want to get these books for free, that to take out their surveys and go ahead and circle yes. Oh, here's an important point. Now, I told you to keep your parties simple, so I really mean that. Don't bring a bunch of stuff with you. I take the catalog, and in the back, I tuck in the very last page a wish list, and all a wish list is just a place for them to write down the books you've talked about so they don't forget about them. I tuck in a survey that asks them questions. Would you like to have a home party? Would you be interested in possibly representing the books? Would you know of a school, library, organization that needs one of our programs, our wonderful programs, a book fair, a fundraiser, a Reach for the Stars? And then also in the back page, I tuck in an order form. And then I just clip a pen on here, and that's it. I hand out a catalog to everybody when they first walk in. I greet them, give them a name tag, which is very helpful for me. And then I give them a little catalog packet like this. And now, I'll also at some point in my show tell them if they'd like one of these beautiful catalogs, they can have it for $1. The company charges $2.50, but I'm going to let you, since you came to my show, just have it for $1. Just write that on your order form, catalog, and $1, and then you can take this home with you tonight. Okay, so that's it, and thanks for listening. And I will also post under the units, where this will go in soon to, pictures of the pages that I decided on to talk about in the catalog. Now think about that. This is up to you, which pages you think are most valuable and you'd like to talk about. Also, you don't have to stay with this format forever. You can start with this because it's pretty simple, and then you can embellish it and do different things. You can play games if you like to play games. You can keep it simple like I do. I like to get in and show the books and then get out, because as a young mom, my goal was always to be home before 10 o'clock, because it's helped me with the next day, and also it was a nice time. I wasn't so tired the next day, and I could make sure my kids were in bed if my husband didn't do it. So anyway, thank you for listening, and you have a great day.